Hey guys, welcome to Thrive Bites Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Colin Zhu, and thank you so much for listening on. You could have been anywhere in the world and you decided to spend just a few moments of your precious time, and we greatly appreciate it. Here on the podcast, we talk about three things: living a plant-powered lifestyle, enhancing emotional resilience, and creating a thriving mindset. And I interview a range of passionate guests such as physicians, dietitians, coaches, entrepreneurs, and many more. And please join me as I deliver these engaging, informative, and high-valued conversations for you. And just remember, the first 5 seasons of the Thrive Bites podcast can now be found in the new TheChefDoc app, available in your Apple Store and Google Play stores. So what are you waiting for? Come on inside. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Thrive Bites Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Colin Zhu, and thank you so much for joining on. I have a great episode for you today. I'll be interviewing Betty Liu, who is the founder and CEO of Confetti Snacks, which is based in Singapore and New York City. I love talking about, this company's mission and purpose, driven aspects of it. And yes, at the end of the day, it's a nutrient super dense, vegetable snack company, but is way more beyond that. And we get into concepts of diversity, inclusion. We talk about the culinary landscape from her upbringing in Singapore, from her travel experiences, why, we talk about and touch upon topics of malnutrition, ending global hunger. So you don't want to miss this. She is a light, and I can't wait for you to listen in, and we will see you guys inside. Okay, guys. Well, welcome to another episode of Thrive Bites Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Colin Zhu, and thank you so much for being here with us. You could have been anywhere in the world, and you decided to join us and share your precious moments with us, and we are greatly appreciative of that. Today's guest, I'm super excited about. Her name is Betty Liu, and she is the founder and CEO of Confetti Snacks, which is venture-backed and based in Singapore and New York City. I'm super excited, for this. Confetti crafts award-winning tasty gourmet snacks made from nutrient-dense vegetables and exotic flavors inspired by scrumptious world flavors that celebrate diversity and inclusion. And we're definitely going to break this down. And we're going to go into, what's the company's mission, but she is a top 5 finalist in Cartier's Women's Initiative to Elevate Female Entrepreneurship and Global Change Makers. And she is a guest lecturer, panelist, and juror for case competitions in leading universities all over Singapore. So without further ado, please welcome Betty. Hello.
Hi, Colin. Hi, everyone. Very excited to be here today. And thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really greatly appreciate your time. I know that you are a busy woman, and so, I value this conversation. So I'm super excited. Off camera, we've kind of indirectly met each other, through your company, when we met each other at the expo, at a natural products expo. And I was really taken aback by how the mission, the purpose, and the overall arching theme of the company in terms of not just changing and being a formidable competitor in the snack aisle, but also, the broader sense. And so I would like to kind of go into the deeper question of, what was the light bulb moment that Confetti Snacks was created, and why create another snack for the snack aisle?
Yeah, great question. It's really excellent to meet you in Expo West. We got a lot of great feedback about the snacks. So yeah, just by means of a quick introduction, I used to come, I'm from Singapore, which has actually, it's called the Lion City, and we have a very strong food heritage, and it's a melting pot of different cultures and culinary cuisines from around the world because of our strategic position near the equator between the East and West cultures. So it comes as a melting pot of different food cultures and different culinary cuisines that make Singapore itself. So why another snack company is really, it actually, the the moment of genesis was really from me being such a avid traveler. I really pride myself on a nomadic existence for many years, and being a very creative person, exploring different cultures and meeting different people from all walks of life is actually very helpful in my creative impetus to create great ideas. I'm a huge foodie. I'm also a super taster, which is about 1 in 4 people in the world who have advanced taste buds and sense of smells that usually allows them to be in the food industry or a perfumer in the perfume industry. And I really wanted to create something that really delights people's taste buds. Going to all the different countries, I realized that 95% of market share are an ocean of junk food. They're all one color. It's all potato chips or extruded corn puffs, which are nutritionally bankrupt, and they do not contribute to someone's health in any way. So when I was hiking up the mountains of British Columbia near to Whistler, I had the eureka moment where I was already very tired of protein bars that tasted like cardboard and, potato chips that gave me a sore throat. And also when you deep fry something, it actually releases a lot of carcinogens that is cancer causing in the long run. So I just felt like, what if I could design my own dream snack that is not only delicious, it tastes a lot better than junk potato chips, but it's so colorful, fun to eat, and more importantly, it doesn't give me a guilty feeling. What if I could, indulge as much as I want in real veggies and fruits in a really colorful, vibrant way, and also instill that kind of amazing cultures of the world to celebrate diversity and inclusion, and pay homage to my own country, which is really Singapore is a melting pot of cultures, and I really want to pay tribute back to the world that has taught me so much. And this is a kind of a gift that I can also furnish back and hopefully uplift millions of consumers in the long run and bring more color into the snack aisle.
I love that. I love that. So right off the bat, I share something with you is that I'm also an avid traveler as well. I've been blessed to be able to touch every continent on the planet. So I understand, the experiences and the rich diversity of different cultures. And I'm a huge foodie myself. And to be able to have that eureka moment and, when you're traveling, especially if you're hiking, you're backpacking, you're going off to different directions. It's not always convenient or even affordable to eat out all the time, right? To have a nice sit down dinner or lunch. And sometimes you want to bring things with you. So, it's awesome that you've been able to kind of, birth this idea while, at the same time be able to, understand where, most of the actual, products lie, and to be able to create this. So I'm really, really, excited. So let's dive deeper into Confetti Snacks and how is it different from its competitors? So you had mentioned about deep frying, right? And I'm in total agreement in terms of when you're applying high heat, it actually creates more cardiogenic components. We call them age-related products, which can speed up the aging process. And so how is yours different in terms of, the vegetables and from point A to point B when it arrives to the snack aisles?
Yes, great question. And it's amazing that you're an avid traveler, and your philosophy looking as food as medicine resonates a lot, and I have a very strong belief on that as well. Like, why is 95% of market share and snacks made from potatoes and corn? It's just like 2 main ingredients and that's it. It's a whole ocean of like white foods out there which are not nutritionally benefiting in any way. Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is, yes, look at food like medicine in the sense that different colors of the veggies that we use, like mushrooms or, premium carrots or radishes or okra, we don't fry it, but we bake it at a very low temperature to maximize the nutrients. At the same time, we are a huge supporter of eating the colors of the rainbow because different colors have different phytonutrients and vitamins that are good for us. So take, for example, a carrot. It's really high in beta carotene and vitamin C, whereas a shiitake mushroom that, people really love in our brand is very high in different types of B vitamins. So different veggies have different colors because they also have different vitamins and minerals that are unique to that specific vegetable or fruit. So how can we elevate that further, make it taste, even crunchier, lighter, more delicious than a potato chip without giving that disgusting, greasy mouthfeel that you get whenever you bite into a potato junk food. So that's what we want to do. And, how can we take it even further, right? I mean, we are only in the course of my travels, I had near-death experiences. I actually fell off, the cliff when I was hiking in Himalayas in Nepal. I know that life is really transient and we are only in this planet for a short amount of time. Is there any way that we can leave a legacy? Can I build a company that can last for many generations after I've left this world and continue to contribute to resolving major problems facing the world today? And, one thing I really noticed when I traveled is that, how can we have like half of edible produce in this world thrown away every year, simply because they're ugly or of a strange shape, or maybe due to crop surpluses that farmers can't predict exactly how much the supermarkets need because of all the failures and inefficiencies in our global agricultural supply chains. As a result, half of edible produce are thrown away every year, which is crazy. Like, while 8.6 million people die from starvation or hunger each year because they can't even afford food on the table, like, how can we solve these two major problems facing the world today and make a true difference? And starting a snack company is really helpful in the sense that I can take these perishable products that normally rot within 1 week. I can extend the shelf life of it by baking it into delicious, scrumptious, award-winning snacks, and make the shelf life into 1 to 2 years instead to protect food security, while we salvage food waste and elevate food to its best and most powerful use. We can also contribute part of our growth and our top line to feeding the hungriest people in the world, facing refugee crises, genocide, war, political instability. We work closely with UNICEF, Red Cross, and the World Food Programme to feed people in disaster zones so that they can survive another day. And as we scale this, we can potentially save millions of lives and elevate humanity. And that kind of legacy can last for many generations. And that's the power of business. And I do feel like it can be used as a force for good.
Yeah. And I know that, your company is, part of the 1% for the planet. And that's a very, very bold initiative that got started a few years back. And it's great, because you always hear about these companies, giving back. But, the way you break it down in terms of being able to complete the cycle, right? Because there's a lot of, I don't know as much about the food agricultural system on your side of the world as I do, in America. In America, as Americans, we waste anywhere from upwards of 40% of produce, everything from manufacturing to, not throwing away the ugly, produce to, a lot of the refrigerator just going out to waste. And, not only that, like you said, we face malnutrition from a, surplus of, caloric density, not nutritional density. And I like how you use the phrase nutrient bankruptcy, right? And I love the fact that you're including the colors of the rainbow, of all the different colors and all the different kinds of nutrients to be incorporated. So in terms of working with these nonprofits and charities, do you, as part of the company, try to make like a good portion of it, towards, or how, like, can you break that down in terms of how does, your company contribute towards that?
Yeah, great question, Colin. Okay, so more importantly, it's like, if people grew up with potato chips and, extruded corn puffs all their lives, it's already part of the American fabric in terms of like, this is in a staple pantry item. So if we can recreate that and like, instead of a pantry full of white foods that are nutritionally bankrupt, we can add more colors into it and get people to eat actual veggies and fruit, that would actually help in the most fundamental way to increase the health and the wellness of consumers in a very large way. In terms of our impacts for, ending hunger, working with people who have logistical distribution to people who are facing severe malnutrition and they need emergency food aid. Using those logistical partners can really help accelerate our impact. So what we do is we have donated to a lot of orphanages, food banks, homeless shelters, UNICEF and Red Cross. Anytime we have something, a part of our growth and our top line is dedicated towards that, so we can provide the emergency food aid and really help the wellness of people who are really suffering from hunger and malnutrition. Even UNICEF, they have sacks of, rice, and they have huge gunny sacks of, rice and lentils and staples. But then where's the color? If we can actually give them huge gunny sacks of actual veggies that are baked already and have a much longer shelf life of 1 to 2 years, they can add it to the lentils and the rice that they eat and really survive another day. A lot of children, when they have severe malnutrition growing up, it affects their cognitive development and their brain development. And that is like permanent, irreversible damage. So if we can, if we can give them, fruits and veggies in a very shelf-stable way, and sometimes they just meet famine crises, right? Prolonged drought in Yemen and Ethiopia. They can't even get access to fresh produce. And now I have a solution that we can actually contribute these colors to them and add it onto their staple so that they can have a more nutrient-dense upbringing through the childhood, which are really, really important years for their brain and physical development. Even in US itself, I'm really shocked because while half of Americans are obese or overweight, but at the same time, they're extremely malnourished in the sense that someone can be very fat, but they can also be very malnourished. They're not getting their vitamins. Less than 12% of Americans get their 5 servings recommended daily intake of vegetables every day and fruit. That's really shocking stats. Like less than 12% of this population, which is 350 million people, actually get enough servings of fruits and veggies a day. It's a lot of hassle to buy fruits and veggies, wash them, cut them up, prepare a meal. Yes, it takes time. Everyone is in a rush. Everyone needs to hustle and make a living. So is there any way I can give, we can give people fruits and veggies in a very accessible way without taking too much of their time? And obviously you realize as well, living in LA, there's a lot of food deserts, and people who are more malnourished also have a lower income. They can't afford all this expensive produce, organic produce. And as a result, they eat a lot of crap like junk food and fast food, which are not necessarily good for their health. So, as a company, it's very important for us to scale. Then we can start having economies of scale to get the cost and the price down and make veggies and fruits a lot more accessible to a wider demographic.
Yeah. I'm curious from your upbringing and, having been born and raised in America and without the traveling, I just feel like I would just be totally ignorant. Is a part of almost every Singaporean's, life is be able to kind of witness these different fabrics or different walks of life that you have mentioned in terms of, being able to observe, different types of groups of people that are more malnourished than another group, or, you have mentioned refugees or people that are politically unstable. Is it because of your extensive traveling that you've been able to kind of, absorb and witness these types of experiences? Or is it, a commonality of every Singaporean to be able to see this because it is a melting pot, of cultures?
Yeah, great question, Colin. I must say that most of my formative years growing up in Singapore and being raised there is a very, very safe, protective bubble. And it's one of the wealthiest countries in the world. I've never seen a homeless person before in my life, by the way, for 30 over years. And when I got to US for the first time, I was really, really shocked because, I smelled drugs are illegal in Singapore, and, just a small amount of heroin would be a death penalty. So I've never actually seen guns or drugs or homeless people at all for most of my adult years. And I didn't grow up with that. And I was really sheltered in a very protective bubble. And that's a good thing, but there's challenges as well. It's only when I started traveling and visiting about 45 different countries, I can actually see that, the world is beautiful and ugly. There's so much mess around. There's so many people that need our help. And I couldn't have seen that because I had a really Singapore as a place is really a privileged, sheltered bubble, and it's really kind of insulated with the mess that happens anywhere else. Yes,
you feel like you couldn't have done what you have done if you did not travel out of this bubble, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Like, when I got to Nepal, people are living on less than like $1 a day, and they are one of the happiest people I've seen. They have so many problems, they have so much poverty, but at the same time, they are one of the happiest people in the world. And the funny thing is, when I travel to very wealthy countries like Switzerland or Singapore or even, Manhattan, like there's first world problems there. And for some weird reason, the really wealthy people are always miserable all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
it's a paradox.
It's a paradox, yeah. And I wouldn't have created this company if I haven't actually seen how much people are suffering, poverty-wise. And it all comes down to like, it's not the world that's not producing enough food. It's more like the food is not used in an efficient way. There are problems and there are faults in the supply chain right now that can be fixed. Humans are a very intelligent species. Like, why are we not using our collective intelligence to resolve very big problems like that?
Yeah.
We can solve food insecurity and end hunger at the same time with the same clap, just using free forces of business and using that as a force for good. So yeah, I'm so grateful that I actually left my comfort bubble and actually went to explore the world, because without seeing all the hardship and the mess that we have, and all the beauty, I wouldn't be actually inspired to start this company at all.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that to me, that's the connective piece, to everything, because it's way beyond just snacks, right? We're talking about food insecurity. You've mentioned about social economic disparities. We have a huge issue with that in America, and food deserts and food access. And yeah, why is it that, we're one of the wealthiest, places, and yet, we're just, there's so many things wrong. So let's go, a little bit deeper. Let's talk about the flavors. Let's talk about the diversity, right? Let's talk about the culinary part of, your snack company. How did you go about it? You said that you were a super taster, right? Did you, kind of invite and hire like an army of culinary chefs, from different, different groups, to kind of come up with like, how did you come up with your initial line? I'm sure you're going to have more, but how did you come up with your initial line of flavors?
Yeah, great question, Colin. It's been so fun. Being a founder, you have lots of fireballs every day. You have like the most crushing, devastating moments, and then you have illuminating times in between that is like makes everything worthwhile, and it's so beautiful. And it's always a constant roller coaster of like exhilarating highs and really crushing lows that a lot of people wouldn't appreciate until you start their own thing and their own project. Yes. There's a lot on the line always, and there's a huge expectation and pressure to perform as a founder. And obviously I've undertaken this as a solo founder, which isn't easy. I have all kinds of different challenges along the way, but I appreciate every moment, because it's a lot of lessons that I would never have learned from business school or from college. So yeah, to start this up, I am a very perfectionistic and competitive person. So I got the best minds on the table, because every company is not a one-man show. You need an army of very talented, high-caliber people to execute on a vision. And the team is as good as the vision. I'm only there to orchestrate everyone and bring people together and find the right skill sets that can meld together, work together as a collective unit, so that we can actualize our vision to become a global snack brand. So, I really owe where we are today, to this amazing team that we have. We have a globally recognized creative director who has curated the brands For Honesty, which was sold to Coke, Lesser Evil Food, Super Coffee, which was invested by J.Lo and Alex Rodriguez. So Michael Kravitz is really an amazing creative director. And he actually designed the entire brand identity so that it really resonates emotionally with our end consumers and Americans, because he's from New York. So he really understands the whole rationale and what is the conversation that goes on in a consumer's mind. And I've learned a lot from that. Our chairman is based in Brussels and was one of the earliest investors for Oatly, which IPO'd, Vita Coco, Pop Chips, and Vitamin Water. We have a board of investors and advisors, from the head of Unilever to Kellogg to Pringles, to help accelerate our learning a lot faster and execute better on a retail scene. so we can scale a lot faster. And obviously, everyone brings their different skill sets to the table, and we are so privileged to have award-winning chefs, Master Chef, James Beard Award chefs who are equally as obsessive with perfection as I am, to really get something that really can elevate veggies in a way that people have not experienced before. The mouthfeel, the taste, the nutrient density, the whole entire top, middle, and base notes of flavors. How can we accelerate that and heighten it and let this work together in perfect harmony so that we can get people to keep choosing veggies and fruits rather than potato chips in the long run? And the only way we can do it is execute so well in taste. Being a super taster is helpful because I get to taste a lot of stuff and really find out like what we can tweak it to make it even more perfect. But more importantly is that no one really cares. Like, can I just say it privately, right? But really, the consumer doesn't care that you're trying to save the world. Nobody gives a shit. Like, sorry, can you censor that?
No, it's okay. We appreciate honesty.
Yeah. But basically, in a nutshell, no one cares. Like, all they care about is I'm hungry right now and I'm going to choose a snack that tastes the best and can satiate me in the most fundamental way, in the most animalistic way. And that's why we are so obsessive on the taste. And obviously, how can we keep improving constantly with different innovative ingredients, with different veggies and fruits? Can we bring a kaleidoscope of colors and veggies and, plants in a way that people have not seen before in a very unique way? And then you have a few nanoseconds when the consumer walks past a supermarket shelf. How can you grab that attention in those nanoseconds? And therefore, the whole entire visual impact is so important. Yeah, and that's why, although it looks easy, right? But there was a lot of thought that went behind it. It was many years and months of planning to get it to look this way, to get it to taste this way, and to give the kind of experience to the consumer in a very differentiated way. And obviously, in the snack industry, is super cutthroat, right? You're competing with like 5,000 other brands who want the same shelf space. So being differentiated is super important. And obviously, working with a team who already knows how to execute brands is also very important. I had so many painful lessons along the way to get there. And I'm very proud with what we have today because of our strive and our demand for excellence and perfection. We have managed to be the first veggie chip in the world to have ever been featured on the Michelin Guide. We have gotten so many awards like Best Gourmet Snack Brand of the Year by APAC Insider. We have managed to represent the best in different world cuisines. We have teriyaki from the Japanese, truffle from Europe, tandoori from India. We have Thai green curry from the Thai culture. And these are not easy brands, easy recipes to execute. If you look at Thai green curry, for example, like how many spices and herbs and, top, middle, and base notes that you can taste, the amount of complexity that comes from Asian culture is really, really hard to duplicate. And we had to go through hundreds of rounds of testings and playing around with herbs and spices in order to curate what we have today. So even though it looks easy, but there was like so much blood, sweat, and tears behind it to really execute.
The best example that I can think of is, I when you said that, I was thinking of, the brand, the logo that I have, with the ChefDoc. I had to go over, 113 designs just to arrive there, so, I can understand the enormity, especially when you have a team and, when you're just by yourself, right? You have your own thoughts to play with. But when you have a team, and let's just say every single team member has a different perspective and they are similar, but they're also different, I can imagine the enormous task of being able to, internalize and process everyone's perspective and opinions and arrive to a central Venn diagram of agreement of how to execute. So that is a gargantuan task. And, you're also talking about, being a super taster and making sure that we are respecting the culture's, flavors and where it comes from. Being a Singaporean and being, growing up in that melting pot, you understand it. You have firsthand experience, and it is a culinary destination. And so it's a lot of pressure, so I'm sure it's a huge task.
Yeah, you're right. And, good food doesn't have to be expensive. Like, Singapore has so many Michelin-starred restaurants. They have all these amazing award-winning global chefs from around the world in Singapore itself, even though it's a very small country. But then you have this amazing, attraction of global talent into a very, very tiny little country. And that's really fascinating. But at the same time, we also have the cheapest Michelin restaurant in the world as well. Our street food culture is so strong. I think a chicken rice hawker got a Michelin star, and that was $2 a dish. And that was like the cheapest Michelin meal that you can get in the whole world. And, our street food culture has won us so much awards. And we also got a UNESCO World Heritage Mark of Affirmation just from our hawker food. And these are like plates of food that's $2 or $3 each. So, like, good food doesn't have to be expensive, but more important, it has to be authentic to the cultures that we represent. These cultures took so many years to develop, so many generations, passed on from one family through generations. And Asian food is very, very complex. Different cuisines in the world are complex to execute. And, to really pay homage to all these recipes and the cultural story that comes behind with it is also a very important thing that we want to respect.
Yeah, that's awesome. Going back to, upcycling, the ugly produce. In American grocery stores, most of this is not even seen, okay? On the back end, before a consumer comes to a grocery store, a lot of this is already picked off from the shelves by the grocers, right? And so, if you look carefully, okay, there's specific sections in American grocery stores where it is for ugly produce, right? And they've dedicated, like my grocery market, they have a specific section, very, very small, okay? They've reduced it down to 1/10 of the original price, right? And so if you don't know to look for it, you're not going to be able to, see this bargain, right? And so how does in your markets, in your side of the world, how does ugly produce show up? Does it, when you arrive to the markets, is it not visible to the average consumer? I guess the question is that how did you decide to upcycle the ugly produce?
Yeah, great question. So in the sense that most of what the consumer sees, like anything that's consumer facing, is already perfect. In the sense that you walk into any supermarket, I'm not going to name any chain, but you walk into any supermarket, right? Every pear is the same size. Every apple is the same size. Even every orange has to be about the same size. At any time that there's a blemish on it, or maybe orange is too big or too small, it doesn't even get curated into the shelf set. They get filtered out as a B grade product. And this is something that a lot of consumers don't see. Like, great, in the recent years, there's more attention and media spotlight on upcycling and preventing food waste. But, until recently, it has been something that people don't know or talk about.
No
Or
idea.
a lot of consumers are not even aware of it. Like, there is a middleman that filters out all the B grade product just when it has a small, tiny little mark, or maybe the size is wrong. Like something is wrong just because it's too small or too big, or the shape of the carrot is ugly. And it just gets filtered out because they want the most perfect looking ones for their own supermarket curation, so that it looks very, very good on the shelf. And that part is like, it's still good. It's still nutrient dense. It's still really high in vitamins. It's still edible. But, most of food waste that happens in the world today actually comes from imperfection and aesthetic reasons. And that's why we need to work with an ecosystem of, wholesalers, supply chain, fresh food distributors to actually take out all the B-grade products and the rescued products that don't make it onto the shelves and get them into our factories so that they can be sliced up and baked into snacks. And in that case, the good thing about being a snack company is that when you have a very ugly carrot and you slice it up and you make it to a big product, like, no one can tell it's ugly anymore. And the consumer doesn't care either. They just know that they're eating chips that are fun to eat and they're colorful. So perfection wouldn't matter once you have sliced up something and made them into something else, like a snack. And then in that sense, that demand for perfection is not really quite there. They are more concerned about the taste at that stage. So basically that's the rationale behind it. And also, about 12% of human caused greenhouse emissions come from food waste. When all these B grade products and crop surpluses end up in the landfill, they start decomposing, they start releasing methane gases that add to global warming. So, if we are really focused on fighting climate change, then one of the biggest contributors is actually food waste. And if we can upcycle them to something else, something useful with a longer shelf life, we are actually contributing a lot in decreasing greenhouse emissions as well.
Yeah, I'm very glad that you brought that up, because my stats are around 6 to 8% of greenhouse emissions. If it's risen to 12, that's humongous. And, by upcycling, like you said, it takes it out of landfills and not contributing, towards, those temperature changes and everything collectively. So we're going to come to a close. My last couple of questions are, so far, what are the customers' favorite, flavor, and what is your personal favorite flavor from the snack line?
So the most popular SKU is actually truffle. I think people really love the umami of it. It's a complex, earthy aroma that is very powerful, and people appreciate that. It's not too alienating, and most people understand what truffle is and the premiumness of it. Yeah, so that would, our summer truffle and the truffle line for black truffle, for shiitake mushroom chips, the most popular ones. The Japanese flavors are also very popular, like teriyaki barbecue, where you can taste like grilled top notes and the grilled texture of the Japanese recipes that we use. Obviously Japanese cuisine is very popular as well. But there are outliers. There are abnormalities in the geography in the US market. Like, for instance, in the state of Texas, the most popular flavor is actually Indian tandoori, which is really strange. I think maybe people, I don't know, in places like Austin and Dallas, maybe they are more of a hippie group, and they like to experience different cultures. That novelty is interesting and refreshing.
The novelty.
Yeah. So I would say that, US can be seen like many, many small little countries, and everyone has different preferences. East and West Coast, you have a very strong diversity. Manhattan alone, there's more than 100 languages being spoken. More than 200 languages being spoken in the city of Manhattan on its own. So I would say that the attraction towards novel cuisines and flavors are more apparent in the East and West Coast. And obviously, being a plant-based company, we are seeing a lot of very huge explosive demand from both coasts because of the demand for plant-based consumption.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are very excited why must something be sea salt or sour cream and onion? It's not very original, and it doesn't give people that breath of fresh air. So how can we come in and really respect different cultures around the world? You can experience a different culinary culture without sitting on a plane or buying a plane ticket. And can we use food as that social glue, as a single dominant denominator to bring people together and to really celebrate that kind of diversity? Yeah, that would be very interesting for us.
You haven't told me what your favorite flavor is.
Yeah, it's so hard to choose. I like all of them.
As being the founder, you're probably like, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, I think my favorite flavor is not introduced yet. So I experimented with like crunchy baby asparagus with sour cream and dill. I have started experimenting with like kale veggie chips doused in a satay sauce. I have the mandarin chips that are really fun to eat. But
those are my favorite.
Yeah.
I was lucky that I was able to try them at the expo. Those are my favorite.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And I'm also thinking like, since I'm in America now, I want to, I know that you have soul food that is really very integral. Like, New Orleans Cajun spices, or you have Mardi Gras, and you have all these like, Kentucky barbecue, Dallas barbecue. Is there any way I can go to the heart of America and take the soul food component of it and really execute something like, New Orleans flavor or something very Louisiana inspired? We can also take that African Caribbean flavors of soul food and actualize it. So, being a perfectionist, there's no end. There's always no end. So once I create the perfect dream snack, I will let you know again. But right now, I love all of them and very excited to see what is in our innovation pipeline.
Yeah. I appreciate that. It's almost like you're striving towards creating like almost like a United Nations of snacks, representing every culture. So I lived in New Orleans for a little bit, and it's you not only do you have to taste the food, you have to speak with the people, you have to listen to the music, it's so much. And so being a traveler yourself is just, you understand what needs to happen in order to fulfill these experiences. So Betty, thank you so much, for being here with us. Where do you see, if we have a, magic, fortune, maybe a fortune cookie or like, a fortune ball, right? And we see your company in 3 to 5 years. What do you hope to see by then?
Oh, wow. Yeah, so it's interesting you ask that question because I wake up every morning with a visual of, real confetti coming down. I'm ringing the bell on the New York Stock Exchange. It's $1 billion brand now. And I have real confetti coming down while I see the ticker behind me, like CONF, as an actual stock, a blue chip stock, like no pun intended, but a chip company. And being a chip as a blue chip stock would be really fun for me to see. Yeah. But more importantly, can we get veggies and fruits in a really fun, adventurous way to a mass public? And that's really important. So in 3 to 5 years' time, I wanted to see it, available in most mass stores from 7-Eleven to Wawa to Wegmans, Sprouts, Whole Foods, in the airports, on the airlines. Any opportunity that I can reach the consumer and let them indulge in actual fun veggies and fruits and, indulge in flavors of the plant kingdom in a way that they have not seen before. Yes. Yeah, I think we exist to astonish people. We exist to break some glass ceilings and show people what a snack could be. Like why are we as a human species? Like, do we have no imagination at all? Why is 95% still potatoes? Made of potatoes and corn. Like, I mean, I think we have evolved to this stage after so many millions of years, right? Like, why are we not thinking out of the box a bit more and bringing more color into the snack aisle? Yeah, so I think that it's time to shake up this industry and really break some rules, and see what we can achieve.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate that progressive thinking because I think in part, it's potato chips as a tried and true, timeless snack, right? Most people wouldn't turn it down, but at the same time, it's not innovative, right? And at the same time, 97% of Americans are deficient in fiber. Like you said, we're not getting the 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables. So I really, really, really appreciate the fact that, I hate to say it, but someone from the outside of the United States, and sometimes you kind of need to look at it from a different perspective to come in and be able to create an offering, create an invitation to say like, hey, there's so many beautiful, plants in our plant kingdom, what is a different, unique approach to be able to, go into this, right? And for someone that's already whole food plant-based and teaching people about whole food plant-based nutrition, I am constantly looking for different ways of, serving, my patients and clients, because we like to snack, we like to graze, we like to eat late at night and all that, and that's a whole different conversation. But I'm really glad that, you've created your company, and I hope that you achieve, everything that you set out to achieve, and definitely rooting for you.
Yay. Thanks so much, Colin. I really appreciate your time today. And I do believe in your philosophy that food can be medicine. And it's not like, I hope one day we'll change people's minds, not looking at veggies as punishment, but more like, I'm just choosing it because it tastes better than potato chips. It's more fun to eat. It should become like a pleasure. It should be permissible indulgence. It shouldn't be like something that I have to run away from. It's more like, oh, wow, because it tastes better, that's why I'm buying it. And I think that's what we are trying to overcome in terms of the psychology when we market to consumers.
Yeah. Excellent. For those that, want to look you guys up, where's the best place to go? And I think are you already distributing in America so far, or you're in the preliminary stages right now?
So currently, we have signed up with UNFI and look forward to getting to main grocery chains near you soon. Home Goods just gave us a PO for 1,000 stores across 49 states. So that's under a TJX banner. We are in a lot of hotel minibars, from Hilton to St. Regis, I think the easiest way to find us now is really, we are in a lot of specialty food stores across the country in trendy cities like Manhattan, Chicago, California, Colorado, and Texas. Central Market is our biggest supermarket chain in Texas right now. And then the easiest way to get it is that, we ship nationwide to any postal code in US and Canada. So confettisnacks.com is a way for people to just buy it directly from us. And we also had a huge pleasure to, fulfill corporate pantries. In fact, we are supplying a Mark Zuckerberg event in Chicago this month. SpaceX is quite interested in putting us in their corporate pantries. And we've already started selling to more and more offices in large MNCs across the country. So even though I'm quite an infant in your country now, but I think the momentum is there. There's a lot of interest and there's a lot of untapped demand and potential.
Yes.
And infinite way we can scale this.
Yeah, I personally think you're positioned very well. So, and for me, if you're able to replace, the freaking pretzels, the the disgusting salted pretzels on the airplanes, I think you would have made it. That's the only thing they offer is biscotti, right? And pretzels. And I'm just like, please give me something different.
Yeah. So cool. First, I'm doing an airline show in Europe in June next month. So we are really starting to talk to United and, Delta and American Airlines. So hopefully you'll see it on the routes very soon.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. Betty, thank you so much for, spending the time. Again, I wish you massive success and I can't wait, for all the new upcoming flavors and what you do and it being, all over the United States. So thank you so much for spending the time with us today.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Colin. Thank you. Take care.
Bye. Guys, thank you so much for watching another episode. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you feel like this was a benefit for someone else, please let them know. And until then, say goodbye to Betty.
Okay, thank you.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoy that episode. If you like that, please like, comment, and subscribe. And please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. And if you felt that this was a benefit for someone else, please let them know. And also remember that the first 5 seasons, 150 episodes, now can be seen and heard on our new TheChefDoc app. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating, and we greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one.